This presentation is intended for the dental assisting student. The topic is Safety and Environmental Responsibilities in Dental Radiography. Let's look at various government agencies that affect dentistry and certainly will also affect dental radiography. First, we have OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is the focus is on employee protection. Then we have the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and this agency deals with a lot of the chemicals, registering chemicals that we use in dentistry, and again in particular in dental radiography, as well as disposal of those chemicals. On the state level, the Department of Public Health usually has a radiological health branch, and you'll want to check the agencies in your state and in your county that deal with dental radiography equipment, chemicals, wastes that we have that would require certain types of disposal. Specifically, as I said before, OSHA protects the employee. Another part of OSHA is that dental offices in general must have a hazardous communication program where we list the chemicals we have in the office. There should be warning labels, the safety data sheets, protocols in handling the chemicals, excuse me, training, schedules as to when you're going to implement protocols and training, and how you're going to implement the use of these chemicals, the training to use them, various protocols, and then you want to keep a record. A lot of government agencies that may inspect your office are interested in record keeping, so that is physical evidence that you're actually following the laws and regulations of your state or county. So what materials and chemicals are of concern in dental radiography? Well, if you're still using film, I'm sorry, but if you're using film, you'll have lead foil and the film itself. You'll have the processing chemicals, and you'll have the cleaning chemicals if you're using an automatic processor. Part of the hazardous communication program in the OSHA standards is that employees have a right to know and understand how to work with chemicals within the industry, in this case in dentistry and dental radiography, and also how it could affect them. What are the potentially hazardous aspects of different materials? Also, with a communication program, hazardous communication program, you should have a list of all your potentially hazardous materials and where they're located in the office. You'll want to have the safety data sheet for each product, appropriate labeling, or we'll look at those labeling or pictograms in just a moment. Appropriate warning signs. You should have general information about how the products are used, when they're used, and training for your staff in those aspects, and documentation. You want to make sure that you write it down. So let's first look at an SDS. What information is on a safety data sheet? Well, first of all, it comes from the manufacturer, and of course these days you can go online when you order a product. Usually there's a little either an icon or the word SDS that you can click on, and you can get a digital SDS, which is really nice to have. It's a little bit easier for storage rather than having a notebook. And on an SDS, there are certain areas you can find this information in dental assisting, hygiene, radiography books or online. But you have the identification of the substance, the contact information for the manufacturer, any hazard identifications such as the composition or the chemical composition of the product, requirements for safe handling, what exposure controls and PPE you'll be using when you're working with these materials, potential hazards, what to do in case there's an accident with a spill or fire, and how to dispose of the product, and also first aid measures. So that's some of the information that you can find on a safety data sheet for your potentially hazardous material. The labels or warning labels is based on a system called the Global Harmonizing System, and it is a series of pictograms that represent either something that can be explosive, corrosive, flammable, poisonous, cause health hazards, and so the idea here is that it's has been an international system where one can look at the picture and determine what kind of a hazard it may present. When you're working with radiographic chemicals, you should always be in full PPE, have good ventilation. You can have little fans and have safety equipment such as an eye wash station. And you have to make sure that that eye wash station is checked periodically. And also have appropriate PPE such as utility gloves in working with some of these chemicals. The EPA is concerned with registering products and with waste management. So on many of our dental products, you can look for EPA registration number, and you can actually go to the EPA website and they have a list of products. So they help protect the environment as far as disposal, and will enable us to see how we can dispose of our products to protect the environment. You also want to be aware of how to manage the waste, not only of radiography, but other chemicals or materials in your office. So I would suggest that you contact your county and your city. They should have a hazardous waste division to determine how you can dispose of, in this case, would be radiographic chemicals. So in some states, you're not allowed to put fixer into the sewer system, so you must have a silver recovery cartridge. And what that does is, from processing, we have those silver halide crystals, and that chemical then gets filtered through this cartridge system, and then it can go into the sewer system. This cartridge system should be changed annually. This happens to be a 3-gallon cartridge system, and so from your processor, the fixer then gets filtered through this system, and a certified X-ray service should come and replace this for you and then take it away, haul it away. Also, in many states, you cannot put lead foil in the trash. It also has to be taken by a certified hauler, and then they find certain industries that recycle usually the materials. Okay. And some dental supply companies also offer, you can purchase a box where you can actually mail your gold foil to states that handle this type of material or companies that recycle this type of material. So I would look into that from your dental supply company. If you're using digital equipment, if you are going to replace your equipment or something's not functioning, most of the time it does require recycling, which is better for the environment than just throwing it in the trash. So that would be your computer monitors, your sensors. Definitely check with your dental supply company as far as recycling sensors, or your indirect digital system, which would be your phosphor plates. Much of that would require recycling. So in conclusion, to have a long-lasting career, you certainly want to follow safety protocols. Check with your Department of Public Health Radiological Division for any laws, regulations regarding waste disposal of dental radiography chemicals, and also you can check with your dental supply company for assistance and information in hauling off or disposing of chemicals. And also remember about those safety data sheets. That's important to keep in your office to meet OSHA requirements. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you learned something today.